Natalie, a retired illustrator, deeply treasures her private digital photo archive. One quiet afternoon in her San Francisco home, a strange, ghostly stain appears on a shared screenshot. Suddenly, red warning lights flash across her monitor, signaling an unrecognized login attempt. While her son Jeremy often rushes through digital security without a second thought, Natalie relies on methodical patience. She refuses to panic or click suspicious pop-ups. Instead, she takes a deep breath and prepares to verify her account through the official application. The digital sanctuary she built is under silent attack, and she must reclaim her boundaries before the phantom escapes.
The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the quiet home office in San Francisco, highlighting the framed sketches on the wall. Natalie sat at her wooden desk, reviewing her digital photo archive. As a retired illustrator, she guarded her private gallery with fierce dedication, treating every pixel like a precious memory. The room was dimly lit, illuminated only by the soft glow of her monitor. She opened a shared screenshot to check the lighting on a recent project. That was when she noticed it. A strange, ghostly stain obscured the corner of the image. It looked like a digital anomaly, a silent violation of her carefully curated space. She leaned closer, her brow furrowing in quiet confusion. Before she could investigate the smudge further, the screen flickered. Bright red warning lights flashed across the top of the monitor. An unrecognized login attempt was active. Her heart beat a little faster, but she kept her hands resting calmly on the desk. She remembered the grounded advice from her neighbor Casey, who always reminded her to pause and breathe when technology acted strange. She did not click the flashing pop-up. She did not reach for the mouse to close the window. Instead, Natalie stepped back from the glowing screen. She took a slow, deep breath, letting the quiet tension in the room settle. The red lights continued to pulse, a stark reminder of the phantom trying to breach her digital front door. She knew the rules. She would not engage with the unknown entity. She would not rush like her son Jeremy, who often clicked without thinking and left his own accounts vulnerable. Natalie turned her attention to her smartphone resting on the desk. She needed to verify the account through the official application, step by step. The ghost stain on the screenshot remained on the monitor, a silent testament to the intrusion. She reached for the phone, her thumb hovering over the verified app icon. The red warning lights reflected in her calm eyes. The phantom was inside the gates, but the final lockout was entirely in her hands. She prepared to open the secure channel and evict the silent trespasser. The digital sanctuary she had built over decades was not going to be taken without a quiet, methodical fight. She knew that panic was the enemy of security, and she intended to win this silent battle by relying on her own steady hands and years of careful habits.
Natalie stepped back from the glowing monitor, the red warning lights still pulsing in the dim room. She needed to ground herself in the physical world before making any decisions. Reaching for a soft microfiber cloth from her wooden desk drawer, she approached the screen once more. With gentle, deliberate circular motions, she wiped the glass. The ghostly stain in the corner of the shared screenshot vanished instantly. It was merely a physical smudge, a simple trick of the light and her own tired eyes. A wave of tactile relief washed over her. The quiet fear of a digital violation dissolved into the mundane reality of her San Francisco office. Yet the red warning lights on the monitor persisted. The digital breach was not an illusion. She set the cloth down and picked up her smartphone, deliberately ignoring the flashing computer screen. Her son Jeremy would have likely clicked the suspicious pop-up by now, rushing to fix a problem he barely understood. But Natalie relied on methodical patience. She opened the verified official application, her thumb tapping the familiar, trusted icon. The screen loaded smoothly, establishing a secure connection that bypassed the compromised desktop session entirely. There it was. The app displayed an active, unrecognized login session originating from a distant, unfamiliar location. The phantom was real, sitting quietly inside her carefully curated digital boundaries. Natalie took a slow, deep breath, letting the quiet tension settle just as her neighbor Casey had once advised during a similar moment of uncertainty. She did not panic. She did not rush. Her thumb hovered steadily over the termination button. "Just a smudge," she whispered to the empty room, her voice calm and authoritative. "But the door is still open. Time to close it." The phantom was real, but her keys were in her own hands. She prepared to execute the final lockout, her steady eyes reflecting the soft glow of the secure channel, ready to reclaim her sanctuary and protect her memories from the silent trespasser. She knew that true security came from patience, not speed, and she was determined to see this through to the very end, ensuring her digital life remained entirely her own.
Natalie sat in the dim quiet of her San Francisco office, her thumb hovering over the termination button on her smartphone. The official application had suddenly frozen. A small gray loading circle spun endlessly in the center of the screen. The digital threat was accelerating rapidly. A new alert flashed at the top of the display, indicating that the distant, unrecognized session was now actively browsing her private family folder. The intruder was looking at her most precious memories right at this very second. The realization sent a cold shiver down her spine, but she kept her posture straight. Her heart raced against her ribs, a steady drumbeat in the silent room. The screen displayed a stark countdown to an automatic logout. Panic urged her to force close the application, to smash the button and sever the connection immediately. She thought of her son Jeremy, who would have already abandoned the phone in frustration or clicked a secondary pop-up to speed things up. But Natalie refused to make a rushed mistake. She closed her eyes for a brief second, recalling the grounded, practical advice from her neighbor Casey. He always told her to let the system do its job and never let urgency dictate her actions. "Breathe, Natalie," she whispered to the empty room, her voice steady and calm. "Do not rush. Let the official system work." She opened her eyes and kept her finger perfectly still. The darkroom tension shifted into a deep, methodical focus. The soft glow of the monitor cast long shadows across her wooden desk, highlighting the framed sketches that lined the wall. She watched the spinning circle, refusing to let the digital phantom force her hand into a clumsy error. The countdown ticked downward, testing her patience with every passing second. The screen remained frozen, but her resolve was unshakable. She would outwait the silent trespasser. She would let the secure channel finish its verification. The phantom was trapped in the waiting game, and she held all the time in the world. Her quiet authority filled the space, turning the digital violation into a test of her own enduring strength. The physical weight of the phone in her hand grounded her, a tangible reminder that she was still in control of her own environment. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked softly, a rhythmic reminder of the seconds slipping away. Every creak of the old house settled around her, but her focus remained entirely on the glowing rectangle in her palm. She could feel the slight warmth of the device against her skin, a stark contrast to the cold dread that had initially gripped her chest. The gray loading circle finally vanished from the center of the smartphone screen. The display refreshed smoothly, displaying a stark green confirmation. The distant, unrecognized session was officially terminated. Natalie let out a slow, measured breath, the quiet tension in her dim San Francisco office shifting into a space of decisive calm. She tapped the glass gently, her thumb resting against the cool surface. "Goodbye," she whispered to the empty room, her voice steady and authoritative. "My gallery is closed." She immediately navigated to the security settings, her movements deliberate and unhurried. She needed to initiate a password reset through the verified application, ensuring the digital locks were permanently changed. The app processed her request, the familiar interface loading with a reassuring prompt. For a brief second, she felt the metaphorical ghost stain finally wiped away, the silent violation of her privacy corrected by her own methodical patience. But the relief was premature. Before the new password field could fully materialize, a secondary alert flashed at the top of the display in sharp, unforgiving red. The intruder had not just been browsing her private family folder, they had quietly linked an unfamiliar recovery email to her profile. The primary door was locked, but the phantom had left a hidden key, a silent backdoor waiting to be exploited. Natalie stared at the new warning, her posture remaining perfectly straight. Her heart beat a steady rhythm against her ribs. The digital sanctuary was compromised deeper than she had initially realized. The phantom was evicted from the main hall, but its shadow still lingered in the corridors. The evening light outside her window had faded completely, leaving the office bathed in the artificial glow of the monitors. The sharp red banner cut through the soothing green interface like a physical wound. It was a blatant attempt to bypass her primary defenses, a clever maneuver designed to catch her off guard when she thought the danger had passed. She traced the edge of the phone with her index finger, grounding herself in the physical reality of the object. The intruder was persistent,
but they had fundamentally misunderstood who they were dealing with. She thought of her son Jeremy, who might have thrown the phone across the room in frustration by now, but Natalie relied on her enduring strength. She closed her eyes for a brief second, recalling Casey's grounded advice to let the system work and never let urgency dictate her actions. She opened her eyes and kept her finger perfectly still, waiting for the secondary verification prompt to load. The battle for her digital boundaries was not over. It had merely entered its final, most critical phase. The screen glowed in the dim room, demanding her next careful move.
The secondary verification prompt finally loaded on the smartphone screen, replacing the sharp red warning with a soft, reassuring green checkmark. Natalie let out a slow, measured breath, the quiet tension in her dim San Francisco office dissolving into a space of profound relief. She tapped the glass gently, her thumb resting against the cool surface as the active device list refreshed. Only one name appeared on the screen: her own phone. The distant, unrecognized session was truly gone, permanently locked out of her carefully curated digital boundaries. The phantom had been evicted, and the hidden back door was sealed shut forever. She closed the application with a final, decisive swipe, ensuring the secure channel was completely terminated. "Just me now," she whispered to the empty room, her voice steady and filled with quiet authority. "My gallery is safe." She set the smartphone face down on the wooden counter, the screen going dark. The metaphorical ghost stain that had haunted her afternoon was finally wiped away, leaving behind nothing but the clear, restored privacy of her digital sanctuary. She no longer felt the cold shiver of a silent trespasser lurking in the corridors of her memory. Instead, a warm sense of domestic comfort washed over her, grounding her back in the physical world. She picked up the soft microfiber cloth from her desk drawer, folding it neatly before placing it back in its designated spot. The simple physical action anchored her completely to the present moment, a quiet ritual that signaled the end of the digital siege. The wooden desk, with its framed sketches and familiar shadows, felt like a fortress once again. She ran her hand along the smooth edge of the wood, appreciating the tangible reality of her home. The afternoon sun had finally dipped below the horizon, leaving the room bathed in the soft amber glow of her desk lamp. The silence in the house was no longer heavy with unseen threats, but filled with the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the distant murmur of evening traffic. Natalie pushed her chair back and walked out of the dim office, her footsteps soft against the hardwood floor. She entered her quiet kitchen, the early evening light casting a golden glow across the countertops. The house settled around her with familiar creaks, a stark contrast to the silent, invisible battles fought on glowing screens. She filled the copper tell and set it on the stove, the familiar click of the burner igniting a comforting, mundane rhythm. As she waited for the water to boil, she thought of her son Jeremy, who often rushed through his own digital security, and her neighbor Casey, whose grounded advice had once again steered her through the storm. She had protected her life's work without losing her patience, proving that true independence required a steady hand and a calm mind. She reached into the pantry and selected her favorite ceramic mug, the one with the faded floral pattern she had painted herself years ago. Holding it under the warm tap, she let the water run over her fingers, washing away the last lingering traces of the afternoon's tension. The simple act of preparing tea was a grounding exercise, a return to the ordinary rhythms that defined her life. She dried her hands on a linen towel, hanging it neatly over the oven handle before turning her attention back to the stove. The blue flame flickered steadily beneath the copper kettle, a small, controlled fire that she commanded with absolute certainty. The kettle began to whistle, a gentle sound that signaled the end of the day's silent battle. Natalie poured the hot water over her favorite tea leaves, watching the steam rise in the quiet air. She wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic mug, feeling the last of the digital anxiety fade into the evening calm. She took a slow, deliberate sip, savoring the warmth. The phantom